Pat Kelsey and point guard use strike once again, this time stealing away a professional athlete to come back to the college game. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. What's cooking? Welcome back into another edition of Now We Can Talk Like Fans. My name is Justin Soforo, and of course I got you for all things covering cards, cats, bourbon, and bluegrass. And today we have a fun little story though. But before we get into it, I do want to share a little bit of information from you guys. Guys, really appreciate you all for joining us for the After Dark live stream. The first one back that we had. Hopefully the goal is to have them every Sunday at 9 p.m. You can join me and some guests from ESPN Louisville. Maybe for a couple drinks, talking sports, hopefully celebrating more fun. Hopefully this Sunday celebrating a victory over Kansas in that preseason exhibition for the Louisville Cardinals. As well as we've also launched the start of the memberships for our channel. You can join the ESPN Louisville Plus team, become a member for the channel. You can support us if you enjoy the content that you see here on the channel, if you enjoy everything we do here, and if you want to have some fun emojis as well as some other benefits, click on the join button down below, join the membership team, and we will have a lot more fun down the way. And of course, we'll be able to provide you with a lot more content moving forward. Now, without any further ado, let's get into it. The news that you came here for, that would be one Pat Kelsey being able to sway a professional player away from the professional ranks down back to the college ranks to play for the Louisville Cardinals. And that, of course, is the news that we have about one London Johnson leaving the G League. And he's not even G League Ignite anymore. I'm pretty sure it was G League Cleveland. But anyway, Jeff Goodman tweeted out, I'm sure he wasn't the first one. He may have been, I don't know. Somebody else did. But Jeff Goodman definitely shared it out that G League Ignite point guard London Johnson has committed to Louisville in the 2026 class. Source told the Field of 68. Johnson, 21, spent last year in the G League with the Maine Red Claws and the Cleveland Charge. Likely will have 2 years left to play. Johnson, who played his high school ball at Norcross in Georgia, is expected to arrive in Louisville mid-year and will sit out the rest of the year of this season and be eligible for next year. Now, some of you may be confused, as many of us were, when there were talks in the idea that a player could go from playing professionally now to play college sports again, especially when we talked about the idea of amateurism before. Well, college sports is professional sports now. Though it does muddy the waters when it comes to the NBA, the G League is a little bit different, especially with the way the developmental league was started back in 2020. That being said, I'm probably not the best one to give you that information of how it all breaks down. So I'm going to throw over to our friend, one Jeff Lightsey, who has a little bit of a breakdown that he can give for you and share for you here. Take it away.
So I know there's a ton of questions of how London Johnson is able to play basketball for Louisville next season. And my name is Jeff Lightsey Jr. I'm going to explain it to you. So we know the NCAA has loosened their rules as far as allowing former pros, whether it's a European pro or guys out of the G League who have never played college basketball, to now play college basketball. That is what is taking place. And since Louisville is the first that I know of, the first Power 4, Power 5 school to accept a kid from the G League, this is kind of confusing some people. So London Johnson was in the class of 2022. Instead of going to college, he decided to play professional basketball with the G League Ignite. We know that was the thing the NBA started. That was the Jalen Greens, Jonathan Kumingas, etc. And so those guys were able to play 1 year in the G League Ignite and then get drafted, lottery pick, first round, top 10 picks, all that. That wasn't the case for everybody that joined that program. And so now that program is defunct. And some of these guys are just hanging around in the G League because, according to the NBA, there's no teams that have decided to call them up to active rosters. And since London Johnson has never been called up to an active roster, he still is eligible to play college basketball, i.e., just like the guys from Europe, Sananda Frew, Zoo, that are currently on the Louisville rosters. Once again, these guys play pro basketball. They're 21, 22 years old as well. They just played it over in Europe. London Johnson played his pro basketball over in America, but he never got called up to the NBA. So the NCAA, just like they allowed these European guys that are littered across college basketball rosters, all beginning to play this year, They're doing the same thing for G League players who never got called up to the NBA. So that is why that's possible. How good London Johnson's going to be, I don't know. I have no clue how good he's going to be. But I do know he's been a pro. I do know he's played against pros over the last couple of years. And I think Pat Kelsey sees that as an opportunity to get an older player, think out of the portal, a 22-year-old, to come into his roster and be able to immediately contribute, as opposed to a freshman that may or may not be able to contribute right away if it's not a Michael Brown or that type of caliber. So that is the explanation. My name is Jeff Lightsey Jr. I just wanted to break that down for you.
And there you have it. Thank you, Jeff Lightsey, for giving us a little bit of a breakdown of it. So this is the equivalent of a player that you got from overseas. You get somewhat professional, semi-pro, if you will, Will Ferrell. I'll burn your house down. One of those kind of players that's coming in, and I'll give you hopefully some useful minutes, a little bit of experience, 2 years of experience playing around with other guys who are talented. I struggle to say NBA players because all those guys who came in 2020 decided not to go to college and decided to go ahead and take the route, the $500,000 or whatever they were offered. A lot of those guys who were good enough ended up in the NBA or ended up making more money. The guys who maybe weren't up to par stayed around in this league, maybe more in the developmental league, hoping to get their chance. So I say that, and let's just go ahead and let's throw it over and look at what we have here with some of the stats for London Johnson when he was in the G League. Over here on Wikipedia, they have a few of the stats here. First couple years that were recorded here for the NBA G League Ignite in 2022 through 2023. He was a 4-star from 2022. He had 10.5 points averaging and then bumping that up to 10.6 points per game. But then you see that dip and that drop off once he moved on. And I guess he found a landing spot with the Maine Celtics. And it's even fallen. I actually think it's about the same. It's a couple points, 2 to 3 points right now is what he's averaging, which is not obviously what you want to see for a player. But also, again, remember that some of the competition they're playing with are, guys that have hopes of playing in the NBA, guys who are NBA players. So the way that I kind of perceive him, it's obviously it's almost unfortunate that he didn't just go from day one to college, but this is a learning system. And then unfortunately that system was defunct. So he kind of just got left there, didn't know where to go. Now, will this be a success for Louisville in the long term? I was making jokes, tongue in cheek, if you will, the comments about stealing a pro prospect away. It's also interesting waters to tread. I don't know if I love being the guinea pig in this situation, but Pat Kelsey, for some reason, feels comfortable, feels confident enough to offer this player. He liked what he sees, obviously, that he's the one making a move. I'm like, the way I would say it, I would imagine it doesn't appear that there are a bunch of other suitors coming for him, but I don't know. Maybe he felt like he had the need to strike while the iron was hot, even though the iron is at 2 points a game. Strike while it's hot before somebody else got him. Or maybe he thought it was time to go make a move for one of these players before somebody else gets wise, gets smart, and realizes you can go get some of those guys. Now, how it's going to be perceived by Louisville fans, we'll see. I love my guy, Steve Rummage, who joined me on the After Dark yesterday. I think he was doing a little bit of fun on Twitter with the hell yeah, great get, PGU, all that kind of stuff. It is what it is. I feel like a lot of other Louisville fans may feel a little bit more like how I feel deep inside, which is a lot of skepticism, a lot of nervousness, a lot of frustration, maybe, especially given what's happened recently. We're living in a time right now where take Kenny, and I understand the bag and the money, and you can talk about it, make excuses, whatever you want to do. That's fine. Louisville decided not to re-up their offer or make their offer equivalent to what Kansas did. So he ended up at Kansas. And then you have another player that just went and committed to UConn. And then we have the rumors of the Tyron Stokes stuff that Louisville's really not even in competition for that. And that Tyron Stokes either right now is pussyfooting around. We'll see if he ends up going to Kentucky. If he changes his mind, goes somewhere like Oregon or Kansas comes up for that one too. But it's not exactly the best feel-good story right now if you're a Louisville fan and you're hoping to see some high-profile recruiting. Does that mean this will be a failure in the end? No, it doesn't. But again, it's murky waters. It's a gamble, to be sure. But maybe it'll work out in the end. You never know. There have been some gambles that people have. One thing is he's older. His body's probably going to be more developed than a lot of the freshman players you'd be going after. And maybe he'll be able to slide into these roles more easily than some guy coming straight out of high school would. Who knows how this will work out in the end. But it's an interesting story anyway. PK, for some reason, seems to think that this is the way to go for Louisville. I'm interested. I'll be cautiously optimistic until I see the results of what this player will be at Louisville. But it'll be an interesting story to follow along. Will Louisville take more players? And also, will the college basketball landscape start going toward this trajectory? Will we start seeing a whole avalanche of players from the G League and other places coming back to the college ranks and playing at a high level of basketball? We'll see. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the get. London Johnson from the G League back to the ACC and playing for Louisville and Pat Kelsey. Will it work out in the end? Leave your comments in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, smash that freaking like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Once again, if you would like to support this channel, the best way you can do that is join the member squad. Hit the join button. It's $4.99 a month. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee, and it would really help us to be able to try to continue to bring you more and more content on these channels. Anyway, I appreciate you all. We'll see you guys next time. Cards, Cats, Bourbon, and Bluegrass. I'll see you.